Shifting from earning to creating value is the fundamental mindset that separates dieting those who survive from those who build lasting wealth and significance. Most people spend their lives trapped in a cycle of working for money, trading their time and energy for a paycheck, believing that income is the direct reward of effort. But the truth is, effort alone doesn't create wealth. Value does. When your focus is on earning, your mindset is limited by hours, tasks, and wages. You think in terms of how much will I get paid for this? But when you shift your focus to creating value, you start thinking in terms of how much can I contribute, improve, or transform. The people who rise in any field, entrepreneurs, innovators, leaders, aren't simply working harder. They're working smarter, aligning their skills with a problem that needs solving, a pain that needs healing, or a system that needs improving. They stop asking what they can get and start asking what they can give. Creating value means becoming a solution provider, not a labor seller. When you understand that people pay for outcomes, not activities, you begin to design your work and your thinking around results. The person who mows lawns earns by the hour, but the one who designs the landscaping that elevates an entire neighborhood earns exponentially more because the value created multiplies beyond the time invested. The more meaningful and scalable the value you provide, the more your income potential grows. That's why shifting from earning to creating value isn't just about money. It's about mindset transformation. It's about no longer identifying as a worker, but as a creator, a problem solver, and a person who makes things better for others. In every business, every career, and every relationship, value is the currency that drives progress. When you understand this principle, you stop being dependent on external opportunities and start creating them. You stop waiting for someone to give you a raise or a promotion because you realize your earning power is not controlled by your boss. It's controlled by the level of value you bring to the marketplace. The moment you internalize this truth, your perspective changes. You begin to study the market, understand human needs, and identify gaps where your skills can make a difference. You start learning not just to work, but to innovate. Because innovation is simply the art of creating new value from existing resources. And that's where real wealth begins. When you create value, you also create leverage. Instead of trading 1 hour for $1, you find ways to multiply your impact through products, systems, or services that serve more people without demanding more of your time. The most successful people in the world have mastered this leverage. They built systems that keep generating value even when they're asleep. They've understood that the goal isn't just to work harder, it's to build smarter frameworks that keep producing results. But it all starts with the same principle. Stop chasing money and start solving problems that matter. This mindset shift requires a higher level of responsibility. Because when you decide to create value, you take ownership of outcomes. You're no longer paid for just showing up. You're paid for delivering results that make a difference. This is where creativity, persistence, and strategic thinking come into play. To create value, you have to be willing to think differently, to look at what everyone else overlooks, and to find opportunities and challenges. The world doesn't reward those who complain about problems. It rewards those who solve them. Every product, every service, every brand that dominates today's world exists because someone decided to solve a problem that others ignored. The mindset of creating value also frees you from the scarcity mentality. When you focus on earning, you often feel limited, like there's only so much to go around, and you have to fight for your portion. But when you focus on value creation, you realize that opportunities are infinite because human needs are infinite. There will always be room for someone who makes life easier, faster, better, or more enjoyable. You no longer compete, you differentiate. You no longer chase, you attract, because when your value is undeniable, people come to you. They trust you, follow you, and invest in you because you've built credibility through consistent contribution. Creating value also requires self-development. You cannot give what you don't have. To elevate your external value, you must first elevate your internal capacity, your knowledge, your skills, your discipline, and your character. That means investing in learning and refining your craft, and in surrounding yourself with people who stretch your thinking. Every breakthrough you experience externally is preceded by a breakthrough internally. When you grow, your capacity to create value expands. You begin to see opportunities you couldn't see before because your perception has sharpened. Growth is the foundation of value creation, and the more you grow, the more valuable you become to others and to the marketplace. Shifting from earning to creating value also demands patience and long-term vision. People who chase money are often short-sighted. They want quick returns, instant gratification, and fast results. But people who build value understand the power of time. They plant seeds, water them, and wait for them to grow. They understand that credibility, trust, and impact take time to build, but once they do, the rewards multiply exponentially. The journey of creating value isn't about immediate payoff. It's about sustainable impact. It's about creating something that continues to produce results long after you've put in the initial effort. At its core, this shift is about aligning your purpose with your productivity. When your work becomes about more than just earning, it becomes meaningful. You begin to find fulfillment not just in the paycheck, but in the difference you're making. That's when work transforms into purpose, and purpose transforms into prosperity. Because prosperity isn't about what you accumulate, it's about what you contribute. And when you make contribution your focus, income becomes the natural side effect. Multiplying impact, not just income, is the secret that separates ordinary performers from extraordinary achievers. Most people wake up thinking about how to earn more money, but the ones who truly rise above are focused on how to make a greater difference. When your focus shifts from personal gain to collective growth, your influence expands beyond limits. Yincome is a reflection of impact. When you help more people, solve more problems, and add more value, the results multiply naturally. The greatest mistake people make is chasing numbers instead of nurturing influence. Income is transactional, but impact is transformational. When you create impact, you don't just change your circumstances, you change lives, and that's what keeps the momentum of success alive. The goal is not to do more, but to mean more. Every action, every idea, every product, and every service you bring into the world should have a purpose bigger than profit. When you focus on impact, your work gains depth. People feel it, they connect with it, they remember it. You stop being just another person doing business or holding a job. You become a brand, a symbol, a solution. People don't buy products, they buy meaning, they buy transformation. And when your impact carries that transformation, money follows effortlessly because people pay for what improves their lives. To multiply your impact, you first have to expand your vision. You can't make a big impact with small thinking. If your only goal is to pay the bills, you'll never rise beyond survival mode. But when your goal becomes to create something that serves others at scale, to teach, inspire, lead, or innovate, you unlock an entirely new level of purpose and power. Think about the people who have shaped industries and movements. They didn't just want to make money, they wanted to make a mark. They thought about how to make something better, faster, or more accessible for millions. That's the mindset of multiplication. Seeing beyond the immediate reward and designing something that echoes beyond your personal reach. Multiplying impact also means leveraging what you already have. You don't need to start with massive resources. You need to start with creativity. The greatest multipliers take one seed of an idea and grow it into a forest. They repurpose knowledge, use technology, build systems, and collaborate with others to reach more people without necessarily working more hours. Technology, media, and connection are the modern-day multipliers of impact. When you share your knowledge, your story, or your solution online, your influence grows beyond your local environment. You can reach thousands or millions with the same effort that once only reached one. That's the power of scale. And scaling your impact automatically scales your income. The key is to focus on systems, not just skills. A skill creates value once, but a system allows that value to repeat. You could coach one person at a time, or you could build a program that coaches hundreds while you sleep. You could sell a single service, or you could create a process that delivers consistent results for clients all over the world. Systems multiply results because they detach your effort from your time. This is where the power of leverage becomes real. Every great entrepreneur, leader, or creator understands that if your impact depends solely on your personal effort, it will always be limited. But when you build processes, products, and platforms that serve others repeatedly, your impact becomes unlimited. Another key to multiplying impact is collaboration. You can go fast alone, but you can go far together. When you build partnerships, share knowledge, and empower others to lead, your reach expands exponentially. The people you mentor, teach, or influence become carriers of your impact. They take your ideas, your lessons, and your values into places you may never reach yourself. That's how legacy begins. Not through money left behind, but through minds and hearts influenced in your lifetime. Impact multiplies when it moves beyond you. To truly multiply impact, you must also master communication. The way you share your message determines how far it travels. Great communicators know how to take complex truths and express them in a way that touches people deeply. Impact doesn't come from what you know, it comes from what others understand and apply because of you. The clearer and more authentic your message, the wider its reach. Whether you're speaking, writing, teaching, or creating, your impact grows in proportion to how well you connect emotionally and intellectually with people. Because people don't remember facts, they remember feelings. If you make them feel seen, inspired, or capable, you've multiplied your influence far beyond the moment. Multiplying impact also requires integrity. You can't sustain influence without trust. Every action, promise, and word must align with what you stand for. The quickest way to lose impact is to compromise character. But when people trust you, your words carry power. Your reputation becomes your greatest advertisement, and opportunities start finding you. Impact built on authenticity lasts longer than any marketing campaign. That's why those who focus on serving with honesty and consistency always end up building movements, not just businesses. It's also important to understand that impact doesn't have to start big. It just has to start real. Every major movement began with one person deciding to make a difference. The person who commits to helping one person today eventually learns how to help 1,000 tomorrow. Consistency compounds. The more consistently you show up, the more your impact multiplies, because every small act builds momentum. You don't have to reach everyone immediately, you just have to serve deeply where you are. The depth of your service creates the width of your reach. And finally, multiplying impact means redefining success. Success isn't about how much you collect, it's about how much you contribute. It's about how many people are better because you existed, how many lives have changed because of your presence, your work, or your words. When you live with that mindset, your energy changes. You become magnetic. People are drawn to your authenticity, your mission, and your results. The irony is that when you stop chasing money and start chasing meaning, the money chases you, because the world always rewards those who make it better. When your focus is on multiplying your impact through value, systems, and service, and integrity, your income becomes a reflection of the difference you've made. Mastering discipline over desire is the foundation of sustainable success and wealth creation. Desire can ignite your journey, but discipline keeps you on the path when the excitement fades. Most people start strong because they're fueled by the thrill of a new goal, but as soon as challenges appear, emotions shift, distractions creep in, and they lose focus. That's the moment discipline separates the dreamers from the doers. Discipline is doing what must be done even when you don't feel like it. It's choosing consistency over comfort, purpose over pleasure, and progress over procrastination. Every successful person you admire didn't win because they wanted it more. They won because they stayed consistent longer. Desire creates motivation, but discipline creates momentum, and momentum is what turns goals into reality. When you master discipline, you no longer depend on moods to determine movement. You stop waiting for the perfect time or ideal conditions to act, because you understand that waiting is just disguised hesitation. Discipline teaches you that feelings are temporary, but habits are permanent. The person who can act independently of how they feel holds the power to outlast and outperform anyone driven only by passion. Passion burns bright, but discipline burns long. It's not the loudest desire that wins. It's the quiet repetition of effort when no one is watching. Success often hides in the boring, repetitive tasks that most people avoid. Those who embrace that monotony, who keep showing up even when results are slow, build a foundation that desire alone could never sustain. Discipline doesn't eliminate desire. It directs it. When you have raw ambition without structure, it becomes chaos. But when discipline channels that ambition, it becomes purpose. The disciplined mind knows how to prioritize what matters most, to delay gratification for long-term gain. Every moment of discipline compounds into something powerful. Not when you skip distractions, manage your energy, and focus on what actually moves you forward, you begin to see results that others call luck. But there's no luck in consistency. There's only commitment, and discipline is commitment in motion. In the pursuit of making money and building influence, discipline becomes the difference between temporary success and lasting impact. Desire makes you start a business, but discipline makes you study your market. Desire makes you chase opportunities, but discipline helps you refine your craft until you become irreplaceable. The world rewards those who can control their impulses long enough to master something valuable. Most people want fast results, but those who understand discipline play the long game. They don't chase every opportunity. They build systems that create them. They don't get distracted by shiny objects because they know every distraction carries a cost. The disciplined individual learns to say no to everything that doesn't align with their vision. That no creates space for the yes that changes everything. Mastering discipline over desire also means embracing discomfort. Growth never feels good at first. Discipline is not about punishing yourself. It's about training your mind to endure the process without breaking. Every time you push through resistance, you build mental muscle. The gym for your goals isn't physical. It's psychological. The stronger your discipline, the easier it becomes to execute, even under pressure. Comfort may feel safe, but it never leads to mastery. Every area of excellence, from business to leadership to personal growth, is built on the back of disciplined repetition. The artist practices daily. The entrepreneur plans relentlessly. The athlete trains when no one's watching. That's the hidden formula. Consistency without applause. There's also a silent truth about discipline. It protects your progress. Desire can lead you to quick wins, but it can also lead you to reckless decisions. Without discipline, excitement turns into distraction. You start too many things, finish none, and confuse activity for productivity. Discipline brings order to chaos. It forces you to measure results, evaluate performance, and stay accountable. The disciplined person doesn't just work hard, they work with direction. Every action serves a purpose, and every decision supports the vision. This focus creates clarity, and clarity creates power. Discipline also builds trust with yourself. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen your confidence. You begin to believe in your own word, and that belief becomes your greatest asset.